Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's July 8th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And we had a short week last week. I hope everybody enjoyed the time off and had a nice vacation. I know it was good for me. Always come back from those refreshed when you get a longer break, more than a couple of days, like a weekend or whatever. But if you do this long enough, you'll start to appreciate these vacations. I get it. I remember when I was young, I was eager and I felt like you wanted to trade every day and the market was open. You felt like you had to be there. But trust me, once you do this for a long time and you start to be successful at it, it does get to be boring at times and it gets to be lonely. And it's always good to take those breaks. It's a good refresher for your mind and just to get away from the charts. And just like any job or anything you do, you don't want it to become so monotonous that you start to lose focus or whatever. So take those vacations when they come up. Take advantage of them. But anyway, um, short week, and we'll have. I think we have a regular week this week. As far as I know, there's um, no holidays this week, and we should be. We're probably good until what comes up next, Labor Day maybe. I think it's Labor Day. Yeah, Labor Day that comes up in September. Um, so we should be good till then. Um, Real quickly, just looking at the daily chart here, you can see we looks like we turned down to the tick off of this upper band on this green. This is the daily chart. We're also pushing back up into overbought territory again. It looks like we do have a close outside on this blue channel with a new high in place, and it does look like a couple of swings. Doesn't mean we can't go higher here. This thing could just continue to work outward and up through here. We'll have to see, but it looks like uh, we could be looking for at a correction here, maybe. Um, Until we turn down, I'm not going to say that, but because this thing could still go higher. But just be aware that it's looking like we're at a point here where we could turn down again. So you can see the last two times. Last time we got up this level, we sold off, went back to the lows. This blue channel's been working higher, but it does look like we got a close outside and a new high. Is that a convincing close outside? Maybe not. So we could still go higher here, but my guess is we're going to struggle through this upper trend channel line unless for some reason that's wrong, which doesn't look wrong. It looks the midline seems to be playing very well. Doesn't mean that we couldn't go higher though. So we could always be off somewhere there. But anyway, you see it on the daily chart. Not much movement today. It was kind of it looks like we kind of had a holiday hangover. And you'll see that a lot, especially in the summer around the July 4th and stuff, because the kids are out of school and people are taking vacation and traveling and taking their kids places, and that includes Wall Street types and all. This is kind of the slow period for trading. So nothing unusual. Let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. You can see the low volume and kind of how slow it was today. And here it is. We had this strong rally from the overnight. Just after the 8:30 regular session opens, where this turns gray to white, you can see we finally got a break in new high, and then we had this trend coming down. We're trending down. We get a break. Takes it a minute, but then we finally get two legs down, and then it ends up we just kind of work sideways from there. So we spent the majority of the day in this sideways channel. I don't believe it was a channel until we made this low here. You can see it looks like something's going on across here. Um, but we didn't really set up into this channel until we made this little triple bottom right here, double triple bottom. And then this upper side and this lower side held prices for the rest of the day. So I'll color this once we kind of get down here, but I wanted to leave it uncolored for now, just so you can clearly see the break and two legs down. And it looks like we're going to try to rally out of there, and we end up just kind of working sideways. Of course, it did rally up and close on the high of the range that we went into. But I would classify this just as a mixed trading day, range day. But let's zoom on in here. We'll go through the trades. There's not a lot of them, so this won't take long today. And they are mowing the grass outside, so the weed eaters and stuff are going. I hope it's not too loud. 7 o'clock came as we're rallying up through here, and there's just no entries in here. Now, I will say this. I didn't mark anything, but this is like a little spike and channel here. And that's a really strong trend. So if you recognize that, you can pretty much enter on any signal bar that comes back to the trend line, and you should be okay. And I see one here. None of these others broke lower or made double bottoms or anything. And then I see another one right here. And if you'd entered on any of those, now this one would have probably spooked you a little bit, but it ends up going higher. So now again, that's very advanced. I'm going to make them green, but if you understand what's going on there and you recognize how strong a trend that is, when you start to see these little bars and the corrections are only one bar or a few ticks, and it just keeps going higher and higher, that is a strong trend. And you can see once we had a break, we had 2 legs up, it corrected, and actually then you got the break of the blue channel and 2 legs up, and then it pretty much was over. So I don't see anything in here that I really like other than these two, and again, that's much more advanced. So it's after 8:30 before you really get a good setup here. And you can see we had a triple test here, but this signal bar doesn't qualify. There was actually a second entry long here, but you can see that it's looking really congested. And I think this broke lower and then turned up, but you can't trade that on the engulfing bar. And then when this closes like this, maybe that still qualifies, but your second entry is already triggered. I'd just sit tight and see if maybe you get a higher low or something. And we end up just testing this support multiple times. And notice this little failed break lower that turns back up and gives you a very bullish bar. Now you've got at least a triple test with a good signal bar. That's where you go long. You can see it take off there. And again, you get those 2 legs up. This is tempting to go short that far away from the EMA, but I'll just tell you, I would wait. Oops, might want to put the right type arrow there. I would wait on a lower high, which comes here, and again, you get an engulfing bar. I believe it broke lower first and turned up, and so it just really kind of, because it's an engulfing bar, you don't really get a chance to enter on it, the lower high there. Then you're just kind of chopping sideways. This is all sideways. I don't see anything here. This one's tempting. It does make an equal high, but this is just a tad higher. So I believe this is your signal bar, and these are just inside bars, and we can't use those. We come back here finally, and you get a second entry short here, but the signal bar doesn't count. And then by the time you get another, what I would call a lower high here, if you want to even call it that, it's just sideways congestion, so you still can't enter. But finally, you get a low here, and you get a first entry. This actually, I'm not sure which way this broke first. I believe it broke higher and then came back down and then went back up. Either way, it's still a first entry. It broke lower and then turned back up, so it ends up being a first entry short, and then it goes back higher. And so when this breaks lower, that's a second entry short. It looks a little congested again, kind of like this. Because you have a better signal bar and it's a second entry, maybe you take that trade. I marked it green. I kind of like it because you can see we've been, this trend line's been holding. And we did get a little close outside, but I don't think that's a convincing close, especially since we're moving sideways there. I originally had this a little higher, but it kept turning down right here, and it was obvious the trend line was a little lower than what I originally thought. So I adjusted it. And it does give you a close outside, but I don't think it matters one way or the other. Um, so you do get uh, a second entry short right there. And again, I like that. I marked it green because it's not perfect, but I still like that setup. Um, then we're just working sideways here. You finally get a close outside, a convincing close outside, and you get a first entry and then a second entry. But again, that looks too congested, so I'm not crazy about entering there. You still expect a possible retest of this high, and notice it does attempt it there, and it finds resistance there, makes a double top, and then you get a lower high here, and that's a new swing low, so that's a first entry, second entry. So I like going short right there on a break below that, and you can see we run down. Now we make a new low here. Now somebody asked me about entering here, calling this a triple test, and yes, there is a triple test there, but the trend and the bias are down, and we're expecting prices to go down. Yeah, we're moving a little sideways here. But at this point, all you have up here is a double top. And so I think it's a little early to be trying to buy here on a triple test. It's just too dangerous when you know prices are attempting to make a new low. And that's what happens here. We push through. So buying here was not a very good read. If you look at that as a triple test, you're counter trend trading. And that's why we don't counter trend trade, because that's the kind of things that happen to you. The bias was down. And you can clearly see we got a trend working down. You get your break. And then we get two legs to a new low. And so I like going short there. Again, you got a second entry short right there with a lower low. Then you got a trend up, break, new high, and another second entry short right there. And that runs down to a new low. And then we're just kind of bouncing off the lows, and there's no rejection down here. Notice all that congestion. So no real reason to enter. It does end up working higher here. You can clearly see that, but I don't see any entries there I like. It's too dangerous. Then you finally get a break, and you get a first entry, and you get a second entry. But look, again, you're in this congestion area, and you would have got stopped out trying to go long out of congestion right there. Especially when it's real clear where the highs are and the lows, and you get a failed break out the top and a failed break out the bottom. And unfortunately, this failed break lower does not give you a chance to go long. You can't go long right into the highs there. It ends up working. It runs up, makes a new high, and eventually we're headed lower again. And I drew this trend line here. It's two legs down and comes back, but really the downtrend really kind of started in here, like so. So there's a couple of ways you could have read this, but I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. You could have read this a couple of different ways. If you played the blue one like I originally marked it, it looks like it's going to confirm it here, but it ends up getting a break. So it looks just like two legs and then another attempt to go higher, and then your downtrend starts. That's the way it looks to me. So I like going short here. There's a hidden second entry, and this bar is only like 3 ticks, and it does make a lower double top, way away from a good bit away from. I shouldn't say way away, but far enough away from the EMA. And it does look like we've got at this point. Early, I was playing this one like so, but in the end, it looks like it's two-tiered, and it comes down here, and it looks like we even got an overshoot. So in the end, you probably were better to play this one, and you get the close outside new low, and then it works higher again. So, but you could have seen it either way. I really saw it and was playing it as the blue, and this is one of those where you can read it slightly different and still get to the same place. So if you saw it like this, you still got the break and new low, and then it rallied out of there. There's just no chance to enter it there. But I did like this as a hidden second entry, just hoping to ride it back to make a new low right here. Again, I was originally looking at it like so, and I was just expecting, you got a two-legged channel there. and the closeout side. So I was looking for it to make a new low, which it looks like it was going to and maybe bounce, but it didn't. It just continued to go lower. And then once it went lower, you just expand this, and you can clearly see it looks like two tiers now, and then with a little overshoot, and it rallies right out of there. Again, there's no chance to go long here, and I don't see any other shorts here that I like. You do get a close outside and a new low, but that takes you into 230 before it takes off to make a retest of this high here. So just kind of a quite slow trading day. And again, later on in the day, I would have colored this in just so you can see the channel there. We'll make it a little different color here. Oops, I didn't want to make it that dark. I was trying to make it a little lighter, actually. There we go. And you can see it's obvious by the end of the day that's a range. So, there it is. We had this big move up. And again, it's easy to move it in the overnight. I mean, this was kind of a thin volume day anyway. And so the overnight session was probably super thin. Real easy to move this up. And of course, I do want to point this out. I think I failed to mention that when it opens up here at 8:30 and goes higher, here's your close from the previous day. So on a regular session chart, it leaves a gap between here and where this yellow line where it opened. So prices will usually try to come back and fill that gap, and you can see they did that and then tried to go higher and couldn't, and we just ended up chopping sideways. So when we started down here, the target should have been to fill this gap. And that's another reason to be careful going long right here as well. First of all, you're counter trend trading, and second of all, we hadn't really met our target. Your first target here should be a new low on this channel, which didn't come till here, and you get a two-legged correction, and then the next move down was to fill the gap, and you can see we filled that gap and then tried to go higher, came back and tested that low one more time. It ended up on a failed breakout and held, and for that reason we went back higher. So yeah, just not much volume today, kind of a quiet, like I said, it's probably a hangover type day from the holiday, people trickling back in as the day goes on. Some people may be taking an extra day, won't show back up till tomorrow, and it could be some people taking multi-day vacation, because it's going to continue to probably be slow between now and the fall till Labor Day. There'll be days where it picks up and days where it slows down, but this was obviously a slow day. So there it is. Not much else you can say about today. Just kind of a choppy. There was some direction. There was a trend up that played out, a trend down that played out, and then from really once we made that new low here after two legs down at about 11 o'clock, there's just not much happening there. Not easy to trade that. There was a clear channel up with a break new high, and then a couple of different ways to see this channel down as well. And then from there we headed back up again, and we're just playing the channel there is what you're doing. And unfortunately there weren't really any entries off the lows, and you didn't really test the high until after 2:30 again. So not an easy range to trade. But anyway, I don't see anything else really worth discussing here. I talked about filling the gap. Again, you got a trend up, break new high, trend down, break new low, trend up, break new high, trend down a couple of different ways. Either way, you got a break there or close outside here, new low, trend up, close outside, new high. Same thing, trend down here, close outside, new low. So they all played out rather, I mean, basically how you would expect price action to play out. And it's just kind of a mixed trading day. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Hope you had a good holiday. Hope you had a good trading day. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.